As part of our goal to reach more types of gamers, today we address individuals with physical limitations that impact their ability to play games. Our goal in improving accessibility is not necessarily to reach all possible gamers. There are certainly individuals with such severe limitations that it would be impractical to attempt to reach them. But it is possible, with some relatively simple changes to most games, to certainly make them accessible to a much wider audience of physically limited gamers. The goal is to design and develop games with these gamers in mind, and not only will we improve the experience for abled gamers, but we may just draw in a whole new group of people to experience the wonders and magic that is games. Currently, the government has regulations regarding access to digital materials like websites, but have not yet extended those requirements to games. I doubt that it will be more than a decade before such regulations become commonplace in all digital media, including games. So what adaptations exist are currently voluntary, but more game companies are getting behind adaptations. Half-Life 2 was one of the first games with complete closed captioning, and it dramatically increased sales amongst deaf gamers. In terms of hardware support, most individuals have custom devices that enable them to use a traditional computing device, but those devices are not necessarily supported by games. Half-Life 2 isn't the only game that has addressed disabilities. Here are a few other good examples that have improved the game experience for all gamers. Doom 3 also supported closed captioning. Forza included an active racing line to show players the ideal path through the game. Halo included an auto-aim system. Alone in the Dark allowed players to skip any challenge. Super Mario Bros. Wii allows the player to temporarily skip the level by watching Luigi play through it. Oblivion and Rock Band allowed for on-the-fly game difficulty adjustments by the player. Finally, House of the Dead had a green Do Not Kill symbol for the friendlies and a red target symbol for enemies. While these suffered from the red-green colorblind issue, because the symbols were large and easily differentiable, they still enabled colorblind players to easily differentiate friend from enemy. So what types of games are currently played by individuals with physical disabilities? Well, the answer is anything and everything. These individuals don't want to play games that are specifically designed for only their disability. They want to play the games that their abled friends play. They want to rehash an exciting StarCraft or Battlefield campaign with their friends. They want to have the same game experience everyone else has. In terms of statistics, 10% of people have some physical disability, and 5% have a visual, auditory, or mental disability. This represents a substantial portion of the possible gaming market. Take a minute to watch the video of Terry, a graduate of UCCS, who is completely blind as he plays Ocarina of Time. As you watch, consider what game features support his ability to play. What custom hardware support does he need to help him play? Obviously, sight is one area of disability, but other areas we should consider include hearing loss, mobility loss, or loss of particular limbs. Consider how your gameplay experience would be changed if you had lost your thumb in an accident. What about your arm? How do most games rely on vision and hearing as integral elements to the game experience? What if you had hearing or vision issues? How would that change your gameplay experience? There are many variations in disabilities. In some cases, individuals experience an increased ability. For example, autistic individuals tend to have excellent math or pattern recognition abilities, and the blind often have more sensitive hearing and touch. Many individuals have a crossover of disabilities, where they have either a weakness or complete loss in multiple areas. Even within a single disability, there is huge range in loss. For example, color blindness is the least significant form of vision loss, while others may suffer from partial or complete vision loss or even just peripheral vision loss. Finally, particularly in terms of attempting to address a specific disability, our solution may alienate another group. For example, in attempting to address blind gamers, we may neglect to include a visual indication of a particular event. There are a broad range of vision disabilities, from complete vision loss to reduced vision to color vision. In attempting to include those with complete vision loss, they will miss visual cues and struggle with menus and other interface elements. Some ways to address these issues would include providing force feedback or some other tactile component, like utilizing a controller rumble to indicate that player was hit, auditory cues similar to sonar, and keyboard shortcuts. For individuals with limited vision, they likely will be able to see motion better than shape differentiation. They may even be able to read if the font is very large, perhaps even to the point of a single letter consuming the entire screen. These individuals may also have some clear and some hazy spots in their vision, so enabling them to reposition interface features may enhance their ability to play the game. Take a minute to watch the inspiring video, The Boy Who Sees Without Eyes. He uses clicks as a type of sonar to help him see the world around him. One of the most significant issues that continues to plague games is that of colorblind gamers. Over 10% of men are colorblind, while less than 1% of women are. There are several different types of colorblindness, the most common being red-green colorblind, where individuals cannot differentiate between red and green. This is particularly important when you consider that friends and enemies are often identified as red and green, although it is becoming more popular to use blue and red, but that still impacts some individuals. The most severe type of colorblindness is complete colorblindness, and these individuals see color only in grayscale. Here we see a few different examples of what the world looks like to someone who is colorblind. If you are not colorblind, you can see that in most cases, the contrast between some colors allows them to be distinguished as shades of the same color. But in other circumstances, the two colors are indistinguishable. Generally, we can help all colorblind individuals by testing our game in grayscale. You can either use a shader to remove the color and actually play the entire game in grayscale, or you can take screenshots and submit them to one of the many colorblind testing websites that will convert the image to grayscale. Some game engines also now support viewing your game or playing your game completely in grayscale. If you can still easily differentiate between the various entities in your game, then you should feel confident that any colorblind individual can as well. Auditory disabilities also exhibit both partial and complete hearing loss. However, in attempting to address these issues, we run into some other problems. For example, there are actually two popular forms of sign language in the US, and they are very different. However, in a game, we usually could just use written text, but that has different challenges. For example, reading a word or phrase using closed captioning takes longer for the brain to process than hearing a sound. So reactions to shots being fired may be slower for an individual with hearing loss. Of course, those with complete hearing loss will miss out on your auditory atmospheric design, inflection in voiceovers, or distant sounds in a horror game, as closed captioning may not have the same emotional impact. So more effective visual devices will need to be developed for those types of games. Individuals suffering from mobility disabilities also have a wide range of limitations, from more serious limitations like partial or complete paralysis or missing limbs, to more subtle issues like repetitive stress injuries. These individuals may struggle with regular controllers and require some level of customization or adaptation. In some cases, custom controllers have been developed either by them or by outside groups to support their gameplay styles. In terms of game design features, these individuals may struggle with rapid response or features that require some level of timing, or even features that require accuracy or aiming. Here are some inspiring modifications that have been built for modern games that allow individuals with mobility issues to play them. In the upper left, we see an oversized controller. The bottom left, the player controls the character by blowing into a special device. In the top right is a brainwave detection system that is still in its infancy, but allows the player to control the game by thinking. In the bottom right, we see a control system modified to allow the player to use their hands and feet to control the character. There is a relatively recent movement called includification that strives to define ways to include individuals who desire to play games. They and others have developed suggestions that support game developers in addressing the needs of disabled gamers. For controls, allow all controls to be remapped. Provide assist modes to make some accuracy or timing challenges more approachable, and allow for a wider range of control over game speed. For instructions in text, add closed captioning for all dialogue and important sound effects. Provide documentation in an accessible format so they can be read by a screen reader. Make fonts scalable, and add audio tags to all significant visual elements. For color schemes, choose high contrast color schemes, grayscale, or highlight important objects obviously. You should also use shape instead of or in addition to color to differentiate targets. In terms of challenge, offer an incredibly wide range of difficulties, not just easy, medium, hard, and hardcore. These may be insufficient to address all player levels. Finally, announce accessibility features on packaging, websites, and forums to allow individuals with disabilities to know what features may exist to help them enjoy the game experience.